Daniel here from JK Pictures, and this is a look at the film Memento, directed by Christopher Nolan and released in the year 2000. This is for the inspirational film, because if I look at this, I could gather ideas for our final film. So firstly, let's look at the plot. The plot of this film is basically a man has lost the ability to make new short-term memories, but still seeks to get revenge for his murdered wife. Pretty unique plot. I personally really like the idea of him not having his short-term memory, and like it's quite a typical revenge story, which is typical, but the fact that he's lost his memory puts such a new, unique edge on it. I really like it, and I think maybe for our film, I'm not sure if we can probably portray it, but maybe something to do with memory loss or not knowing who they are. Typical, slight idea, I don't know. We may use this in our final piece, we may not, I'm really not sure, but yep, so that's the first thing I looked at. Secondly, the characters in this film. You've got one protagonist, which is Leonard, played by Guy Pearce. He's a male character, I'd say he's about 30s, 40s, and he's one with the memory loss. And he is just like, the way his character is portrayed, he's portrayed as a good guy throughout the whole film until the end, but you can't really treat him as the bad guy because of his condition. So you're always rooted for him, as you do with a protagonist. And I just really like the way that they have made this protagonist having all this memory loss, making you not knowing anything about him. Like, as soon as the film learns it, as soon as he remembers it, you remember it, which really keeps you on the edge of the seat and keeps you wanting to keep going and watching this film. And I like the idea of one protagonist, and we may use this in our film. And then after that, we have two antagonists, Teddy played by Joe Pantalone and Natalie played by Carrie-Anne Moss. So the character of Teddy is quite mischievous, manipulating, deceiving, small, scrawny man, like a typical, what you would think is a typical thug or bad guy. And once again, what I really like about him is that he is portrayed as a bad guy throughout the whole film until the end, and you find out he's actually a good guy. Whereas our other antagonist, who is Natalie, she's portrayed as the good guy throughout the whole film, but then comes out as the bad guy at the end, and she is also mischievous, deceiving, manipulative of his memory disorder, using him to get her own way. And I personally think that, again, I think in our film we should use some sort of antagonist who you don't quite understand fully, like, obviously these ones, pretty much all these characters in this film, I feel like you don't understand to the full extent of what you can understand them, and I really like the idea of that. Okay, so, thirdly, the setting in this film. There's loads of sets in this film, which quite a lot. Let me think, there's a motel, there's a pub, there's Natalie's house, there's a cafe, there's a tattoo parlour, which sort of fits into the plot. He tattoos all over his body to help him remember important stuff. I'll get to that in camera shots later. And there's a lot of and obviously there's an urban area, so this obviously adds to sort of a realism, like, in a sense, because most of the audience who watch this will be from an urban area, and they will sort of connect more with the film, and like, it makes it, as I said, look more realistic and down to earth. And then there's a set I really like in this, which I want to use in our film, is there's an abandoned house which you see right at the start and right at the end. And personally, I think an abandoned set is really good for a thriller, and I think we can possibly do it in our one, because we haven't got the big budget for all this urban setting like in the rest of the film, but it's an abandoned place. We could easily find some abandoned building, or make someone's house or a barn or something look abandoned, and it really creates suspense and make it quite eerie, like it does in this film. And I think that's something we should use in our final product, personally. Now lastly, I'm going to talk about the camera shots and the editing. So, a lot of the shots in this film are quite traditional. Medium, long, close-ups, extreme close-ups. But the use of extreme close-up and close-ups and medium shots like integrated together. For example, in the opening scene, you have like, it starts off with an extreme close-up of a photo, sort of tracks around, which is really clever, into a close-up of his face, then goes to a medium shot. There's more close-ups of his face, then extreme close-ups of his body, showing all his tattoos, which I really liked. It shows the exact detail of what's on the tattoos, and sort of means as the audience you don't miss anything. With string close up his face, you can see sort of blank an expression at this point, as in he doesn't know what's going on. That's proving the memory loss. But also at other points, it shows like anger and lust and the emotions in the character, which I really like. And as I said, the editing, I like the quick cuts because it actually looks good. It looks continuity editing. You don't really notice it. It's how seamless it is. But also, it sort of just, because it has quick extreme close-ups, then a cut to a close-up, then extreme close-up and stuff like this. Sort of really like keeps the varied camera angles, keeps the audience quite engaged and interested in it, instead of just being a plain like medium shot the whole way long, just maybe tracking him. No. And what else did I put here? Another bit of editing I really like in this film is the use of, what's it called? Sort of like colour changes. Like when it goes to the flashbacks or showing you from the start of the story, it goes in black and white to distinguish from the obviously like actual time. Well, not actual time, but like actual time's a good way to put it, because the story's told backwards. It's hard to explain basically, but because it distinguishes from that, it means that you don't lose track of what's going on, so you can keep closely engaged with the film and know what's going on. And I really like that, again, because I think it's a really clever use of editing, and it's sort of, what's the word, keeps us as an audience like really engaged, and it's something unique and new which you wouldn't expect really from a thriller film or any sort of film really. So because it's something new, it really does make it really interesting. What else did I put here? So yeah, from this, I think that in our film we should use some extreme close-ups to show very important or suspenseful things, like extreme detail, like maybe an extreme close-up of a blade of grass and there's someone's foot going over it. No, that's quite a typical shot which people used. Or extreme close-up of glasses with showing the reflection maybe. I don't quite know, but I feel like use of extreme close-ups are really key to sort of add the suspense, because if you cut it in nicely with medium shots and close-ups and use it to sort of like extreme close-up on inanimate objects to symbolise stuff, and I feel like that'd be really ingenious. And I also like having quite continuity editing with the cuts. I feel like we should use that in our final film because, well, it sort of just looks good, and you don't really want all junky uncontinuity editing, because we sort of want our film to keep some sort of level of realism. Don't want it to be too, oh, there's that, oh, there's that, just randomly jumping around. Less, obviously, maybe it's a chase scene or scene of high intensity where, obviously, a lot of jumping around is going to help, if you know what I mean. So in conclusion, from watching Memento, I sort of decided that I would like to use aspects of the plot, use a lot of the editing techniques they use in this, and also I would like to use some of the abandoned sets. But personally, I don't think the music will work for our sort of film. The characters are a bit too complicated and in-depth for us, and we couldn't really show that in the opening minutes, so it doesn't really matter per se. And the camera shots are quite generic, but really well done, and I think if we have that level of camera work, our film will look very seamless and very professional. So that is obviously this inspirational film. I don't know, this is good, and hopefully from this and the other inspirational films other people in my group have done, we can come up with some very good idea for our film and make it very good. Okay, so I forgot to talk about the music in this film, so here it is. Quickly, the music in this film, it's not like overwhelming, as in it's too much, not over the intense dialogue and stuff, but it is used in some dialogue scenes, but very minimalistic, like quite simple sound. For example, you hear it a little bit in the scene when he's about to tattoo himself.
Under, the harder it gets. Well, then call me back.
You hear it sort of in the background, making it all eerie, which it is someone tattooing themselves with a ink pen. is creepy. It's meant to make you feel a bit like your hairs go up in the back of your neck. And then, obviously, in the scene when he's running in the trailer park, it has it. And it's small parts of it in, like, action scenes, but it's quite minimalistic, so it still feels a bit, like, raw and, like, hard-hitting with the punches and the physical action. Because it's not, like, over the top, like Indiana Jones music, where it sort of makes it sort of cartoony and funny action. It still makes it down-to-earth, intense music.
Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he's chasing me.
And I think I really like this because basically it makes it like not distracting, but it does aid the overall film and makes it really compelling and good. In my opinion, compelling and good. But basically compelling makes you really want to watch it. And I feel like in our piece, we could use some music as samples like this, like very small parts, and then jump at certain bits and sort of lower at other bits. So in this film, it's pretty much it's definitely in the background music the whole film until the very end, in the end credits, where it's actually big, loud, boisterous, non-diegetic music. But that's not saying it's a bad thing, because the silence and quietness is quite a virtue in this film. And I also do really like, obviously, some of the normal sounds which aren't music, just like the sound effects of the urban traffic. It really makes you feel like he's in a living place, which sort of adds the suspense, thinking he's looking for one person in this massive city. It's really crazy. So anyway, now this is the end of it. Hope, yeah, this is good. I don't know what to say. Yay!